Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about tantrums, and anybody who's had a child knows what is a tantrum and when that is going to break loose. Just to give you a little perspective on where I come from, my name is Dhivya Sahadevan and I have a 5-year-old son, and I do not have any professional qualification to talk on parenting. What I'm sharing with you here is just what works for me from my personal experience of bringing up a 5-year-old. Tantrum in general can be considered as a way in which children try to express their emotions, and especially when something is happening around them which they're not happy about or they cannot understand. It can come in many forms, so it can be your child crying, screaming, anger, stomping, a whole range of expressions. But generally it is considered as the point when your child is losing it. So I'm going to talk to you about how I kind of navigate through a tantrum to cause minimal damage to myself and my son, and how I kind of try to firefight this whole situation. I hope you can relate to it in some way. Let's go. So the first point which really helps to kind of deal with a tantrum, I think, is to recognize the onset of a tantrum. So once you've seen like multiple tantrums, you probably know when one is coming or one is on the way. So just recognizing that, I think, helps you make quicker decisions, kind of gives you that clue that okay, you know it's coming and you need to take some action. So it kind of prepares you for that mode. At this point, when I recognize that a tantrum is on the way, some of the things that I try to do is, first is I try to distract. So children generally can be distracted very easily if you recognize this early. So you cannot be, in the core of a tantrum and your child is throwing a fit, and at that point, if you try to distract them, they are going to get furious. So the earlier you recognize the onset of a tantrum, the easier and the luckier you're going to get at distracting them. So distraction can be anything, like if your child is crying over, ice cream, you can distract them like, oh, but have you seen this cartoon? Like, I just saw this new cartoon. Have you seen this? It can be something as simple as that. And also another thing which really works for me is, I think, making your child aware of what's happening. So when your child is generally getting frustrated, you can tell them that I think you're getting frustrated because you're unhappy about this. So generally this works for me. I try to talk to my son a lot while dealing with the tantrum, so he is also aware and he kind of knows that he's trying to process it, and I'm just trying to help him through the process. So the next thing that really helps with dealing or handling a tantrum is to recognize the patterns and the triggers. So some of the really common triggers for children are when they're hungry, when they're sleepy, when they're overstimulated. All these kind of make it more difficult for them to kind of process external stimuli. So if a situation is kind of uncomfortable for them and they're hungry, you're asking for it. So make sure that you can rule out these. These are pretty easy to identify, because at this point you can even talk to them like, I think you're getting really upset because you're hungry, or you're really sleepy, that's why you're getting irritated. So this kind of again helps, and these are some of the easier, I think, tantrums to deal with, because you just need to kind of meet that need at that point. The more difficult ones would be when they are faced with a situation which they are finding it difficult to cope with, and those are probably where you need to spend a lot more time kind of helping them understand how to cope up with that situation. Each child is of course very different, so each child has a particular temperament. Situation which upsets one child may not necessarily impact or affect another child in the same way. You want to be a little bit mindful about how your child is wired and try to kind of give that support which they require. So now you've gone beyond the first two stages, and now you're in the heat of the moment. You're trying to firefight the full-blown tantrum that you are in. So before we talk about some of the things that you can do to help your child, let's talk about a little bit about some things that maybe will not help you at this point. So if you try to kind of distract your child, like we spoke about, if you're going to distract your child at this point, she's going to get really, really furious that I am screaming my heart out and you're just, not giving me that attention that I deserve or I require at this point. And another thing that you really don't want to do at this point is, do not dismiss their feelings. Like, you don't want to be telling, Don't be angry, don't scream. These are definitely not things we want to do, because children are learning to express their emotions, and in any way that they're expressing, you just want to let them do it. But you want to kind of just give them a little bit of a boundary, give them a little bit of space to kind of navigate and understand their emotions. So don't just blindly dismiss them, telling there's no reason for you to get angry at this point. There's no reason for you to be scared at this point. So doing that is going to make your child feel completely dismissed. So don't do that. You need to acknowledge their feelings. So if they're crying about something, you can actually kind of empathize with them and say, I know that is really difficult. I know what you're going through is really difficult, but let's try and work this out. What else can we do to kind of make things better from here? So that is the attitude you want to go in with. So one of the things that really works for me at this point is physical contact. So it may seem a little bit weird, but when my son is in the fit of rage, what I generally do is I just pick him up and I start tapping him, and it just works like a switch. It works so beautifully with my son. You can try it out. But children mostly just need that, they just need to be held at that point, both emotionally and physically. So if you can do that, it's going to really help soothe your child. So you just want to, reassure them, give them these small taps, give them a hug, just ask them to wait it out. You're going to feel better. Let's just go through this. So keep talking to them, keep soothing them. This really, really works for me. Another thing that you really want to try to do at least is to stay calm, or at least pretend to stay calm, because it can be really stressful. I know a tantrum can be really draining on your energy. So try to be as calm as you can. Try to keep your voice as neutral as possible. Talk slowly, talk clearly. Children pick up on these voice modulations. Like, you can say, okay, I understand, or you can say, okay, you know what, I understand, right? So there is a difference between those, right? We understand it, children definitely understand it. So be a little bit mindful about that. If it gets too much, you can take a break. That's totally okay. You can tell your child, I'm not able to deal with this situation right now. You need to give me 5 minutes, and you can move yourself out of the situation. So one of the things that will help you is to concentrate on your action plan. So we have this full blown tantrum, unfolding here. Instead of taking it personally, it would help to kind of think like, okay, this is happening here. What do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? It kind of helps me to detach from the situation, and it puts me in that, action mode. Another thing that you need to remember to do is take charge of the situation when you need to. So your child may be, having this full blown tantrum. He wants this chocolate. He really needs it right now. So one of the easier things that you can do is just hand over the chocolate. But what that is going to do is kind of, we're going to be kind of encouraging the tantrum, right? So you don't want to do that. You need to stay calm. You need to stay consistent, and you need to hold on to, your rule, despite of how difficult it gets, because you just need to keep maybe repeating yourself like 10 times, I'm sorry, but I cannot give it to you, and this is why I cannot give it to you. So you don't want to fall for the tantrum, because that is just going to lead to many more tantrums. And make sure that you're consistent each time with, your response. So you cannot give in to one, and the next time you cannot be really strict and expect them to understand, because that is going to totally confuse your child. So make sure you're being consistent, make sure you're being calm, stern, and use your judgment. You know your child best. And another thing that I try to do while my child is in this mode is to kind of help speak to him. You may get these pockets of space where you can actually talk to them. So I try to tell him, like, what are you feeling? Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me why you're feeling. What made you angry? What are you angry about? So this really helps them to, speak it out, and that really helps them to process their emotions. So as much as you can get them to talk, it's going to help them. If you do have an option for a backup, make sure that you call for backup when you're stressed out. So you don't have to take it completely on yourself. Like if your child is having a full blown tantrum and you're not able to handle it, instead of lashing out on your child, you can, ask for a timeout. You can tell him, like, what, I'm not able to deal with this. I'm not able to think clearly right now. just give me 5 minutes to kind of, pick myself up. So children, it's very surprising. When I told this the first time, my son actually understood. So I told him, like, I cannot think clearly right now. I need a little bit space. So I took my, 2 minutes, kind of gathered myself back, and, I was able to deal with the situation much better. So, if you feel the need for it, just ask for it. Step away from it for a few minutes and come back, and you will do a much better job. It creates a really good boundary between, you and your son, that, both of you sometimes need that space. And it also helps your child to see, practically, that how you are kind of navigating through your emotions, and that's how your child is also going to learn how to self regulate through his emotions. So it would be really good to kind of, mirror that for him, and he's going to learn to do that as well. Now, the next point, and one of the most interesting things for me after a tantrum, is to talk about it. So generally before our sleep, we have a little bit of time where we are reading, we're just talking. So I generally bring it up there, and I ask him, like, this happened. Why do you think that happened? Or what were you really upset about? And it's also a good time for me to, apologize, like, if he felt. So sometimes he gives me these insights into myself, where, he felt like, I didn't like that when you said that, I got hurt when you said that. And irrespective of, if that was my intention or not, I would apologize, like, I did not intend to hurt you, but I'm sorry if it came across like that. It could happen like that, because we know we're both really angry. There may be things which I say, which he says, which, in the heat of the moment. So it's good to, have that conversation where I apologize. Sometimes he's apologized, where he's done things and he's like, I'm sorry I did that. Your child feels more understood. He feels like you're listening. So these are all great to build a strong relationship. So make sure that you really leverage this opportunity when you've had this, kind of situation in your house, to make sure you connect with your child, to understand what he's felt, what he's gone through. It will give you a lot of insight to, what your child is actually navigating through. And children go through a lot of, they really have to go through a lot when they're growing up. And silly as it may seem to us, it may be a really big deal in their world. So have those conversations. It can be really interesting, and can be, bring up some really, really precious conversations. So these are some of the points which I follow. Apart from these, some of the things which I think would be good is to accept that, you cannot control your child. You can only guide them. You can only, help them through their journey, help them navigate their emotions. Children take time to change. They're growing up, they're dealing with a lot. So don't expect overnight changes. Developing and practicing the self regulation is honestly a lifelong process. So I still do it for myself. So I'm sure, like, as a child, they're going to need a lot of your support and help to learn how to self regulate their emotions. One of the things that you need to be cautious and beware of is that your child is not personally attacking you. Your child just does not have the skill to deal with, his emotions. So don't take it personally. He's really not trying to hurt you. As children get older, they learn how to self-regulate their emotions. They learn how to soothe themselves and calm themselves when they are in a difficult situation. And hence you see lesser and lesser tantrums. So with time, your child is going to get there. So you just need to hold them through this journey. And lastly, don't judge yourself as a parent based on the number of tantrums that your child has. Every child has tantrums. Instead, focus on how you respond to the tantrum. So remember that you're only a human, and a part of being a parent is learning as you go. So that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what else you'd like to see on the comment section below. I'll see you again next week with a new video. Till then, take care. It's me, Dhivya, signing out. Can you just cry for me?